Call hello, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash, double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Citations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerely risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the 144,000 in the tabernacle of David, ordained to be the ruling class people here on earth, above all other nations, all other races, under the authority of who the world fraudulently and falsely calls JC. His name is Yahushai. Always was, always will be. All right, he's coming back to set up the 12 tribes of Israel. And to the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth still in captivity, under the heathen, mainly Esau, Edom, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen, who have the appearance of the heathen, those with the lack of melanin, like this liar and delusional individual, Rich Tidwell. All right, and the few wakwas that are listening and learning to you, I say shalom. All right, remember the Israelites are scattered among all people and are going to come looking like all people, but primarily the Israelite body makes up the 12 tribes of Israel, which are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, undeniably, regardless of the madness that spewed out of this man's mouth. All right, this last-ditch attempt to ignore prophecy, to ignore history, and try to rewrite it, and try to write Edomites into it. It's insane. You cannot be the villain and the victim biblically. You can't.
And that's what Esau's trying to do now. That's what he's done with plantation Christianity. You notice that if you ever rent a movie, again, Ten Commandments or, Jesus in Nazareth or whatever. I mean, not only do you have J in the, which was never in the Hebrew, right? But Esau's playing all the parts, right? I mean, the Romans, at least he's got that down correctly, but man, he's playing the Jews too. Esau wants to be credited with everything. But he is not the biblical Jews, and he's definitely not the biblical Christians. The biblical Christians are the ones that followed Yahushai, who were Israelites. You can't be of any of the other nations. Quite simply put, though, this was only for the Israelites, the elect Israelites that would listen, is what John 3:16 really means.
Because the people that this man is claiming to be the people of the Lord participated in the destruction, participated in the denigration and the slavery of the people of the Lord. One way or another, benefited from this falsely pretend, make-believe social construct called whiteness. They made it up. That's been a big topic in the internet lately, right? Even outside of the Hebrew Israelites, other people talking about, look, there was no such thing as white people prior to 1681. They made it up. So whiteness in the Bible is talking about purity. It's talking about morality. It has nothing to do with skin color. However, the word ruddy, the word black, those words do in the Bible, and those are and still those words are what do we call them? Transliterations, because they put the word black, which is a social construct as well, for ruddy. They put the black in the place of swarthy. Okay, because swarthy is pertaining to Swarthy is pertaining to complexion. Ruddy is really pertaining to youth. Okay? Because you see, he's put up this ruddy and showed you some pale white people with red hair. Alright? But when you look up ruddy horse, ruddy duck, ruddy cow, ruddy animal, you don't see anything that looks like that. And when you do see it, it's a lot darker. We've proven this 1,000 times. Alright? I got a book on the shelf by Snowden called Blacks in Antiquity. And it's showing you the Grecian, which is another thing that they try to claim to be the Greeks. They became the aftermarket Greeks. They took over Greece and claimed the heritage. This is what Esau does. They take over and claim stuff that is not those. 500 years of brutal Christianism, racial colonial cruelty in the name of JC. Okay, 500 plus years of it. And yet no one fulfilled Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Salaki, the 37th chapter. And so when the Hebrew Israelites fulfilled that prophecy, all right, they come out on the highways and byways. So, let me regroup and get right to something, just to destroy this guy's delusions. Remember, you're always with Esau Edom, like someone else who watches my videos and watches Israelite videos, came with the talk point, and he spoke about how black and white are made up social constructs, and it's a fight for make-believe, because you end up fighting over black and white, and you're getting around the actual real issues of what's going on, because you're so determined with that. So you have to fight your way back to a place of reality before you can even go have a dialogue with these people. But to end this ruddiness, let's see what the scholars had to say about it. Okay? Because Edom, all right, it's clear that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans aren't ruling the world. But Rich Tidwell is trying to point out that the J-ish are in control, and he's absolutely right. All right, he's absolutely right. The Jayists are in control. I'm going to play a video to substantiate that. Okay, but in doing so, you have to understand the rest of the Edomites are also a part of that. Okay, because the Lord returns to a world which is ruled by Edom. So let's substantiate that in scripture first. Let's get Isaiah 63. All right, you can't be a deeply rooted, born into Christianism and be an Edomite in this racist colonial Christianism, and then turn around and be the victim. You can't. That's impossible, Mr. Tidwell. But Isaiah 63 says, 63:1, who is that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra, that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength, that speaketh in his righteousness, mighty to save? Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that tried the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people that was none with me, for I would tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come, because the Lord is coming back to take vengeance on Edom. Edom is the ruling class people. White people are the ruling, so-called white people, are the ruling class people, with Amalek, the small hats, the little hats, being at the helm of that. They're at the head of that. See, his balance. So remember, you got these Christians now pointing the fact out that the little hats are Edom, that they're false converts, and then you got the rabbis pointing out that white Christendom is Edom, that all of America and all of Eurasia, the part of Asia that they call Europe, Christendom, all right, Christianism in both Eurasia and Christendom in America and wherever it is Edom. All right, and guess what? They're all Edom. You're Edom too, Mr. Tidwell. Just because you trying to wear a beard on your face, all right, and your beard is mighty, I got to give it to you on that. But that doesn't make you an Israelite, man. It doesn't, because you're not supposed to walk around bald face, and you did that for years. I've seen images of you with that bald face. Okay, so coming from that standpoint, let's play a video on who's ruling the world right now. Who's really calling the shots? And the water to my beloved April O'Neil for this one. And sending me that fire all weekend. Here we go.
President Trump is not really president of the United States. I think he's ultimately obeying the orders that are given to him by Mr. Netanyahu and his government. I think that's one of the reasons you've seen so much vacillation. Netanyahu has veto power over everything and anything that President Trump does.
Yep.
He wants to get out. The problem is he's got Netanyahu and Netanyahu's billionaire agents inside the United States say, you can't leave. If you leave, we pull our support for you. It's open season on you. We won't protect you anymore. You've had it, Donald. And by the way, Congress is going to jump at the opportunity to destroy Donald Trump, whether the Republicans or Democrats, and he knows that. So what can he do? He has a choice. He can ride the Titanic to the bottom. He's already on the Titanic. It's already struck the iceberg. He can go down with it. Or he can try to get off, which means he has to jump in that ice-cold water. He's going to have to subject himself to humiliation. He may ultimately be revealed as being very prominent in the Epstein files.
Absolutely.
There are no speeches that you can point to that outline any real policies. Instead, you have to read through tweets. And it's best if you are schizophrenic, because then you can follow the tweets. Because if you have a normal mind, you can't possibly understand what a man is talking about. So you've been following him this day, this night, and what do you come up with? But at the end of the day, what's changed? Nothing. What's meaningful? Nothing. And the only thing that he continues to insist is that everyone must bow to Israel's demands. And the demands that we are trying to impose on Iran are not our demands. They're Israel's demands.
Exactly.
The United States Armed Forces has paused to attack Iran, not because of anything Iran did to us, but because Israel is demanding it. So we are the servants of greater Israel. We understand that. There shouldn't be any question in anybody's mind. If you want to know who governs, it's not Donald Trump. It's Netanyahu.
100%.
Donald Trump is simply passing on the message. So the question comes back.
So we can stop it right there, because what you have to understand, Mr. Tidwell, is that the Edomite government in America is doing the bidding of the Edomite government of the people in Israel. They are one people and the same. All right, Amalek just didn't share the blessing with you. He's placed himself over the rest of Edom yet again. Same
Yep, the 1%.
All right, and I think the other Edomites are just angry because they're just angry because Amalek was a grandson. He wasn't even a direct son from Edom. All right, and so you guys' beef is really with each other. Okay, because you've been going along to get along, and actually is the rest of Edom that helped set up Amalek and put him in a position of power where he was able to dominate and control every element of government here in America. See, you can't see, because the real Israelites are people robbed and spoiled. As a matter of fact, let's get that. Let's get that.
Yep, you can't have it both
Isaiah
ways.
42 and 22. And it reads, "But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey and none be delivereth, and Salakia. They are for a prey and none delivereth, for a spoil and none saith restore." See,
And that's another thing, they call it justice, right? I remember Richard Pryor saying, yeah, it's just us niggas in here. And that's the truth, man. How many Edomites, I give you a fine example. All right, O.J. Simpson did a righteous kill, by the way. Adultery is punishable by death, by the way, in biblical scriptures. And so, by all means, in biblical terms, O.J. Simpson would be considered innocent. But guess what, though? There was another Edomite who did the same thing. Natalie Wood was, in fact, killed for adultery by her husband, Robert Wagner. Nothing was ever done. Robert Wagner might have been asked a few questions, but never served any time. They didn't go after him like they went after O.J. Simpson. So there you go. Who has the power? It's just us, man. We're the ones that get the persecution. These Edomites are only getting a slight taste of it, not compared to what we've been through. But they're about to find out.
because we don't get restored, we don't get delivered. That's reserved for Edomites because you're not in trouble as other men. William Jacobs. Jacobs is a prime example of that.
Yep.
He was in prison a couple years ago for the murder of the 10-year-old white male because now you got all this outright Edomite on Edomite violence, which it rarely makes the news. All the brawls in the breakfast places, and they don't make the news, but they always want to put the teen gatherings on the news and things of that nature. When there's a bunch of fat geishas breaking out into a fight at the Waffle House in Atlanta somewhere, they'll put that all over the internet on the news. But these Edomites go out and do the same shit. They don't make the news. Nevertheless, this guy William Jacobs, he bit his girlfriend's 10-month-old toddler and took it by the feet and slammed it head first into a doorwell at a Motel 6, murdering the child. And he just got let out by a judge with no money he had to pay no money or nothing. How do you murder a 10-month-old white male and just walk away if you're another white male, especially if your last name is Jacobs? This is Psalm 73, Mr. Tidwell, 5-6. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. See, Esau, Edom, all right, from the beginning, going back to when what's his name? Now I'm forgetting his name. When he bragged about how he was like Cain. Can I not remember his name right now? It's really aggravating me. Okay, but Edom has had a covering over him. Someone could put that on the comic board, But when he, Esau has had a covering over him, and he's been able to just get away with stuff. All right, and why? So Psalm 73:6. Therefore, pride compasses them about as a chain. Violence covered them as a garment. Esau, Edom had through the 17, 18, early 19th century, all the way up until now, still has shed the blood of Jacob with impunity, and rarely get in trouble for it.
Yep, and that's a fact. So like everything else, so you can't be the hero and the villain, as this video went into, and then you got all this going on as well. The war has picked up also in Ukraine, as well as you already know, in the Gulf.
Last night was extremely turbulent in Ukraine. On the night of June 2nd, the Russian military launched a large-scale missile attack with a variety of weapons. The first wave involved a massive launch of Garan-2 strike drones to overwhelm the Ukrainian air defense system. The Sumy region cities of Shostka and Artirka, were known for their arsenals and equipment repair facilities respectively, were targeted. According to Kharkiv Mayor Terekhov, 15 strike UAVs and 2 ballistic missiles hit 3 districts of the city overnight, striking the industrial zone of the Osnovyansky district. Sources say the PAX plant, which formally engages in plastics processing, is located in this district, where in reality UAV assembly workshops are deployed. In Kiev, the geography of the strikes was extremely wide-ranging. This included the Mayak plant and the Profil plant, which produces communications equipment, control systems, and casings and components for ammunition. The Arsenal plant, the city's oldest defense enterprise, which manufactures sights, optic-electric systems for armored vehicles and aircraft, and homing heads, was also targeted in the nighttime strike. According to an official statement from rescue workers, the Podolsky district of Kiev has been hit. A warehouse and vehicles on the grounds of a municipal enterprise were hit, as well as a 4-story educational building. According to eyewitness footage, the strikes hit a row of long, single-story identical hangars with gabled roofs located next to railroad tracks. There was a series of secondary explosions. It can be concluded that the target was a large ammunition depot located in the city's built-up area. Around 2 a.m. local time, a wave of strikes reached Zaporozhye. The head of the administration, Ivan Fedorov, reported at least 20 strikes from various types of weapons. According to local residents, a distinctive green glow rose above the city after the strikes. This occurs when non-ferrous metal alloys burn. Therefore, the Motor Sich and Zaporizhzhia plants were likely hit. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the strike was a response to terrorist acts committed by the Kiev regime. This suggests that the initial retaliatory strike with the Orishink system was just the beginning of a series of similar actions. There is a reason for this. As Rodion Minkrashik, the Russian Ministry's special envoy on crimes committed by the Kiev regime, stated, 35 Russian civilians, including 3 children, were killed in a single week as a result of attacks by the Ukrainian armed forces. Another 182 people, including 8 children, were wounded. In effect, Kiev's actions may be provoking Moscow to escalate the conflict.
Yep, escalations on both sides of it, right? Then you got this going on as well. Yep.
It was out of stock. There was the big ugly red beacon. Out of stock.
Yep.
It's now back in stock, and actually, you'd be really happy about this.
Yep, and of course, like everything else, they're going to be out of oil too.
As well. It is true, it is real, it is pure, it is black-ass coffee, no boy slop, no serums, no syrups, no sugars, no creams required. Just drink it black. There's 3 different blends. We have the light roast, the medium, and the dark. And I'm telling you, I was just tired of coffee that sucks. Everybody has a coffee. All these influencers push a coffee. All of their coffee sucks. It tastes like crap. They cut corners everywhere that you go. All these coffee shops. You pay extra money at the bodegas and at the supermarkets and in the grocery stores to get the top shelf stuff because you tried everything else and it all sucks. Then you get the organic stuff and it sucks too. Then you go to one of these like high-end boutique coffee shop type things and you realize that they're just brewing like Sam's Club crap. Because you can see the Sam's Club truck show up in the back and offload massive box. At the time Jeff was here, he made the point that the last oil tanker filled with crude
There it is.
had already arrived at port. And that there were no more behind that. So we hadn't really seen the shock yet of the depletion of oil. Then, just after that, we briefly covered this on the show the other day, over 160 oil tankers arrived here in the United States, but they arrived empty. And they arrived empty. 160 or more oil tankers arrived here empty so that they could take our oil and distribute it throughout the West to countries that have no more oil as a result of this war of choice, this illegal and unjust war that we kicked off by double-tapping Iranian schoolgirls in their classroom. So that we can continue this war.
And remember, because it was fun.
About it, to pacify them. Because we've already pissed on BRICS, we've already pissed on our Gulf state allies, we've already pissed on all of the West. They've all said, look, we don't want to be involved with this. And so we're just going, here's some oil, just sit down and shut up, here's some oil. An 8% increase in oil per barrel here, $94 per barrel in the United States. We can only expect that to go up from here. So Jeff Berwick is with us. What are the repercussions of this going to be beyond just the price per gallon of fuel?
Oh man, there's going to be so many repercussions, and this is so much deeper of a thing than most people realize. Like even the U.S. Exporting a lot more oil. Well, first of all, the U.S. imports 40% of its oil. So even with importing 40% of its own oil, that just supplies its own demand. So it's actually losing a significant percentage of its own oil now. Now they're going through the oil reserves dramatically. And those oil reserves, by the way, are held in salt mines that collapse when you get about halfway through it. And they're going to be getting halfway through it fairly soon. I think this is all part of the Great Reset. This is all part of Agenda 2030.
Yeah.
They're going to actually cause oil shocks all over the world. It's already begun in many parts of the world. It's going to be starting soon in the U.S. Numerous people have come out, Exxon's come out and said they expect oil to hit $150 a barrel in the next few weeks. That means the price of gas is going up another 50% right after that. And then if this keeps going much longer, there's actually going to be shortages and actually running out of oil in many parts of the world. And this is all part of the agenda. And the interesting thing is that this has a precedent. This was done before. You'll never guess who was involved, Steve. Israel was in a war in 1973, and it ended up with the Arab states blocked oil shipments to about 3 or 4 countries. One was the U.S. because of the support for Israel. All the way back then, it's been going on for 50 years now. Or more, actually, since the 1940s, actually before that, with the Balfour Declaration. Anyway, you know all about that stuff. But they only cut off oil shipments to the U.S., Netherlands, and a few other European countries, and it was just a million barrels of oil per day. We're now talking 20 million plus barrels of oil per day cut off to the entire world. And this time, it's not just oil. This time, it's natural gas, it's fertilizer, it's sulfur, it's helium, it's everything, and it's cut off to the world. Most people don't realize how insane this is going to get. It's going to get insane very, very soon. Already in Australia, they're rationing the amount of fuel you can put in your car. That's just the beginning. We're going to see prices skyrocket all over the place. It's basically destroying much of the world, which of course is what Israel wants. And so that's what a lot of this stuff's all about.
You're looking at footage from the Yom Kippur War that Jeff was alluding to from 1973. And this has been the state of the Middle East since, well, May 14th, 1948.
There has not been peace in the Middle East since May 14th, 1948.
Proving they're not the biblical Israelites.
I would say
there would be peace when they return.
In our country, in the United States, since 1913, the installation of the Federal Reserve. And the system has been weaponized against Americans in every way. These people don't serve you. They don't care about you. They don't care about your survival.
They don't care about us.
Pacify the American citizens here by telling them, by Donald Trump and the rest of his talking heads on, Fox News, and all of the media loves him now. Which
they don't
just a couple
care
years ago,
about
they
us.
hated this guy, but now unanimously they all love him.
Yeah, listen to that song, the original
lyrics. This is just the suffering that you have to go through. These are just the things that you have to do. It's all going to be worth it in the end. But we know what's coming in the end. And what's coming in the end is an AI-driven, AI-powered super surveillance state. It is the digital prison for you and for your children, for your entire family, for everybody in the future, that will be subservient to Israel. So this tech-native America, when we go take Venezuela and its first shipment of oil goes to Israel, and the same recipe is going to be applied, obviously, in Cuba now. The DOJ has already issued arrest warrants for Castro, so they'll go in there with directed energy weapons that they denied the existence of not too long ago. They said, yeah, those things don't exist. Stu Peters is a conspiracy theorist because I was saying that a directed energy weapon was used in Maui.
Yep.
And so the future here is the clamps come down, you suffer economically, you beg the government for help.
It was also used against Syria and Turkey.
And you have to fall in line. So it is a slave state. Is there a way out of it, in your opinion?
No.
Well, I'm already out of it. I don't listen to anything they tell me to do. I live outside of all their systems. I use mostly crypto, gold, and silver for currency. I don't pay any of their extortion fees. I live on a ranch with a blue roof for the energy weapons. I grow all my own food so that they can't poison it. So that's, what I'm doing personally to avoid it. And of course, also other things. I think really what people need to do is go back to being completely self-sufficient again. And it's actually a great thing. We've actually all been kind of fooled into this modern world where we're all addicted to.
And here's another thing, self-sufficient. Little testimony here. Now, I've been talking about this for a little while, but again, went to get a second opinion yesterday. All vets cover each other, okay? They pretty much back each other. While you might save a couple $100 there, in the long run, you don't save any money. They're all in it for the money. They don't care. And if you ain't got the money, they ain't going to help you. So I have no choice but to, Thawada, that my neighbor is able to apply bandages and all that, and we're just going strictly underground. There's no fucking way whatsoever that we're paying for an amputation that we can't afford to begin with. We couldn't afford it, and they only had a couple hundred less. For the worst thing you can fucking do for a broken leg is amputate it, but that's what these fucking vets will do, and they all back each other. They're all together. They're all in it for the money. And so, what do? We're going underground, and we're taking care of it ourselves. Yeah, she might have a limp because, of course, we're, but you know what, though? Backyard, doing that kind of shit, you got to think like that now, because you ain't got money. You ain't got resources. Money is a defense. And like everything else, though, you go through your defense stocks, or if you didn't have the defense to begin with, and a lot of us don't, okay? Who the fuck has $5,000 sitting around, Especially if you're on SSI, Universal Basic Income, which a lot of us are there. So guess what, though? That's what I had to do, and most people are going to find themselves in that predicament. You got to think outside the box. You got to think like a survivalist. The water that Yahweh Shai has given us the ability to do so. We're totally relying upon that. I've just mentioned about my multi-pom that I just got because my Pomeranian died in December. But they wanted to amputate her leg, suggesting it as a penny saver, and it's not a penny saver. It's still extorting money. It's extortion is what it is. And Esau gets away with it. But how long will he get away with it? You see, we're sighing and crying, because of the abominations. It's an abomination to do that. Your fucking kid breaks his arm, are you fucking really going to fucking cut off his arm because you ain't got the money for it? Think about it, though. That's what it's been up against for the past week since this happened. And so here we are here.
First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all
no
praise,
peace
honor,
talks.
and all glory.
So let me fix the screen.
unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and others, great millstone that taught us the truth, and that's teaching this truth, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect, beginning with 144,000, all the way down to the large multitude that believes, and who the Lord will deliver in these last days. To you all I say shalom. I'm the brother Tazamah from the Great Millstone Dallas Camp, coming back today with another quick lesson, and I pray this lesson will be edifying to the elect. And shalom to you few Akwath that believe and that listen and that are in obedience. All right, I want to do a quick lesson going in on how this war, all right, with Iran is not going anywhere. All right, this war with Iran is not going anywhere, and these fake ceasefire talks, and not ceasefire talks, rather say these fake ceasefires and these quote unquote peace talks that are being done between intermediaries between the United States and Iran. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors because ultimately the global elite, all right, that are ruling this world, all right, they're pulling the plug on America, all right, and they're ushering in this new system, all right, and with this new system being ushered in, all these various different nations are in on it, all right. Iran is in on it, America, obviously, Israel, Russia, all these various different nations are in on it, okay, but there's not going to be any peace, and these people, these Babylonians, they're still walking around and walking about, seeming as if everything is normal and everything's okay. Here it is, gas is steadily getting higher and higher. All right, you're not going to see no more. You're not going to see anything less than $3 a gallon. All right, those days are done. All right, then it's just going to keep getting higher. Energy prices are getting higher. They're setting up these data centers all over the goddamn place. There's internal friction going on between America, as the scripture says that a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. Okay, and this is all the will and the doing of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. This is his determination. All right, to ultimately destroy
his determination.
Take down this Edomite infrastructure, this beast system, and ultimately set up the kingdom of heaven, which is going to be headed by Yahweh Shai.
The true new world order to come.
All right, the rest of the 144,000, all right, and the elect, all right, that are going to be on top. The nation of Israel is going to be on top, and these various different heathen nations are going to be on the bottom, man. Okay, so there's nothing that these devils can do, all right, to stop the prophecies from coming to pass. All right. Scripture says that their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. That's what they think. Okay, but Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, he's going to frustrate, as a matter of fact, let's open up with that. He's going to frustrate the tokens of the diviners. Who make a diviners mad, I think is how it go. Excuse me. This is Isaiah 44, verse 24. I saw verse 24. It says, "Thus saith Yahweh thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am Yahweh that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself, that frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh the diviners mad." See, so the Lord is going to frustrate, all right, the tokens or the signs of the liars, man. Okay, he's confounding these devils. All right, these devils are being confounded in their own counsel. All right, they're trying to manipulate the markets. They're trying to keep people's minds all over the place with the UFO disclosures and the Epstein files, and now you got Palm Beach Pete, aka Jeffrey Epstein, back again. He's back now, and trying to keep people mad at one another, because remember, that's what they want. They want order out of chaos. But the Lord is going to, it says that frustrate the tokens of the liars, and maketh the diviners mad, that turneth wise men backward, and maketh their knowledge foolish, you see? And the scripture said that the princes of Zion are become foolish in Isaiah the 19th chapter. And all you got to do is look at this dude, Donald J. Trump, and see that, clearly Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai has a spirit on this dude, all right, to be completely reprobate, man. Okay? We're no longer going to see good days in America, and good riddance. Good riddance to this place. As everybody still thinks that, Babylon could be healed. As the scripture says, we would have healed Babylon, but Babylon cannot be healed. How for her to take balm for her pain? So there's no healing that's going to happen to Babylon. There's not going to be anything that's going to make Babylon, bounce back or anything of that nature. All right? The Strait of Hormuz just got closed again. All right? And they're closing the Strait of, it starts with a B. It's like Bob, B-A-B, Bob Amar, or something like that. But it's pretty much it's the strait that connects the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden.
Yep.
Which they're straining the economy, and they're doing this all on purpose. These oil reserves that America still has, so-called has, getting ready to, that's going to run out. There's already energy shortages in Asia. So things are happening, fast, because they're getting ready to usher in this new world order. All right. And remember, scripture said,
and they'll come close to it before Yahweh Shai returns.
And sudden destruction comes upon them as a woman in travail. It says, this is the moment in history that we'll remember for a long time to come. Even though we were told over and over again that a deal with Iran was almost finalized.
the truth is that there never was going to be a deal with Iran. You see, that's the truth. There was never going to be no peace talk. There was never going to be no deal. Okay, it's all smoke and mirrors, and it's all done just to keep people, to keep people in this loop as if things are getting better. They manipulate the markets, like I said earlier. Gas will jump up to $4 and go over $4, especially down here in Texas. It'll go up above $4, and then it'll go back down, to $3.90, and go back down to $3.60 because the peace talks are going well, everything is going great, and then gas prices start getting lower again. But here,
way fucking
America,
higher than that here.
Israel, it has completely, broken the ceasefire agreements. You still got Israel that's out there, in Lebanon, attacking Lebanon, which that's breaking the ceasefire deal. So Iran pretty much was like, man, forget y'all, man, we done. We were done with all the talking. There was a gas right now 357, or 351, whatever, 357, 351, whatever it says back here. But it's just all manipulation. And the United States and Israel, the United States and Iran actually began to attack one another again. We pray to Yahweh that this escalates and that shit just keeps getting bad.
And we'll read articles on that. Shalom, first and foremost, like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And shout out to Yakims out there in the four quarters of the earth to claim this truth. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash, Barakatum. So, brother from the Dallas camp, and then, of course, elder brother Malcolm, starting this out, But here we are, though, Esau is the villain, and that's what he'll always be. You can't play all parts, even though you'll see it in his movies, right? You go rent a biblical movie, Esau's playing all the parts. I mean, he likes to play the Jews, he likes to play the Christians, he likes to play, which we already went into the definition of what a Christian was, which were, in fact, not heathens, but Israelites that followed Yahweh Shai wherever he goes. And his name's not JC either. So either way, Esau likes to play all the parts. Well, the Romans, yeah, that he was. He wasn't the Egyptians, if you rent a movie like Ten Commandments, which I'd say that for its time it was pretty good and all that, but Esau's playing all the parts. Okay, there's no way that he was Moses. Okay, but it's probably one of the better of the moods that Esau does. But Esau, he wants to be the hero and the villain at the same time. So, just getting into that. And like everything else, though, now they're cutting off the press because, of course, the press has been pressing against him, right? Like wine press is press. They pretty much said they know that he's a liar, and they are really pushing for answers. So, Pentagon bars journalists from press office. The ban deepens the standoff between the U.S. War Department and the media. So, yeah, they don't like the way the mediums are going, and they're actually starting to ask hard-hitting questions. As Chris Green used to put it, hard-hitting and in your face. He's a sellout, too, but, he used to actually have very good videos, hard-hitting and in your face, and actually used to ask really good questions, kind of like Dan Rather, who, by the way, Dan Rather, he... They got rid of him years ago because he began to question the war against Iraq. So he stepped down from CBS News. He was pushed to step down. So, eventually this all leads to a famine of the word. Because as the king of Babylon already declared in his first term that we must resist these prophets of doom. Even though we're telling you the truth, we're giving you the insights. Pentagon has barred journalists from entering its press office after redesignating it classified space. First reported by Washington Post late Monday, the move was confirmed by acting Pentagon Press Secretary Valdez, who said journalists are no longer permitted to enter the office because speech writers working for Secretary of War Hegseth routinely handle classified information. So there we go. And so, what's really truth, Esau calls fake news. So eventually, you've already heard it before that eventually they'll come after us, because we're just the prophets of doom, but yet we're giving the greatest insights of all. And people are flocking to our videos because that's why Esau has to even read from the Apocrypha now. Futures drop, yields and oil rise on latest Middle East hostilities. U.S. equity futures are all mixed up as oil prices, bond yields, and U.S. dollars move higher in response to the latest overnight attacks. With no public progress on a deal, as previously reported, the U.S. struck Iran's Qasem Island and was met with retaliatory strikes against U.S. bases in Kuwait. Explosions were reported also in Saudi Arabia. Air sirens went off in the United Arab Emirates. U.S. CENTCOM said the Iranian attacks were successfully defeated as of 0800 hours Eastern Time. S&P futures were down 0.1%, but off lows absent. Now daily gamma squeezed the S&P, poised to the halt of a 9-day rally. So, like everything else, market manipulation, just like the brother was going into. You see the proof of it, just read some of it. But here we go. Trump insists negotiations between the U.S. and Iran have stopped. Fake news reports the Islamic Republic of Iran and the U.S. stopped speaking a few days ago are false and erroneous, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Yeah, right. Who's the fucking liar here? Who's covering the Epstein files? Who's etc. President Trump insisted Tuesday that negotiations between the U.S. and Iran have continued despite Iranian media reporting that Iranian officials cut off talks which were being mediated by Pakistan. So, who are you going to believe? I mean, we know that what does Iran have to lose? They were attacked. IRGC targets enemy vessel, U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters, American airbase after violations near the Strait. IRGC announced that its forces carried out retaliatory strikes against enemy vessel headquarters of the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, and regional American airbase following the 2 acts of U.S. aggression targeting Iranian assets. IRGC said incident prompted a response by its naval forces. And this new renewed act of aggression, American terrorists targeted IRGC communications tower in the southern port of Qasem Island with aerial projectiles. IRGC said the attack was followed by retaliatory operations carried out by its aerospace force. So, like everything else, and they're saying that the devastation from this time 63 injured, right? Major Iranian attack against Kuwait International Airport leaves 1 dead, 63 injured. Kuwait International Airport came under Iranian missile and drone attack on Wednesday in significant strike that killed 1 person, left 63 people injured. So, like everything else, it's getting a lot bigger, and they already warned, if you're complicit in this, you are a target. If you're hosting American terrorism, you are a target. Expect the retaliation strikes to get even bigger. Because Amalek runs America. It's the Israeli states of America. See, like everything else, though, lest the flock shall draw them out, shall make their habitations desolate because of them. Meaning that they're going to be exhausted, their stockpiles are going to be out, their oil is going to be out, everything is going to be out very soon. Iran accuses U.S. of launching attacks on tanker. Well, that's exactly what happened. Qasem Island from bases in Kuwait and Bahrain, so they were naturally going after those. Iran Foreign Ministry on Wednesday stated the U.S. carried out attacks on Iranian oil tanker in the Strait and communications tower on Qasem Island from bases in Kuwait and Bahrain. Ministry said the attacks were launched early Wednesday from the 2 countries in the region before identifying Kuwait and Bahrain. D.C. has been using the territory and facilities of regional countries to carry out military operations against Iran, saying the governments of Kuwait and Bahrain bear direct and clear responsibility for the attacks, and that's why you see the retaliation amped a bit more. U.S. and Iran exchanged missile strikes. IRGC said it targeted U.S. military assets in the Persian Gulf region in the retaliation for American attacks. So you can see right there, the missiles going off. Incident began when a U.S. warplane fired a Hellfire missile at an Iranian-linked tanker near the Strait, late on Tuesday, damaging its engine room. D.C. said the Batwa-flagged MT Lexi was headed towards Karg Island in breach of its unilaterally imposed blockade. In response, IRGC targeted alleged U.S.-affiliated vessel named Panya with naval missiles. So, like everything else, so you have some.
قول له يا اسمع صوت ديك شال خضر ديك شال خضر شو ايه طلع من هنا يا شوفها صادق امسك سكان محمد امسك سكان على علمه على علمه قول له يا قول له يا قول له يا وقف رجع دعم وقف والله شو خلاني شو صار شو خلاني ابن شو صار ابن شو تشهد وقف
So there you go. You like stopped his vehicle in the middle of traffic just to get the footage. Israeli terrorists bleed as U.S. report finds Hezbollah much more capable than when the invasion began. Hezbollah says it inflicted heavy blows on Israeli terrorists in southern Lebanese town of Al-Baywa, amid mounting failures in Israeli military invasion and growing vulnerability of its troops to advanced resistant tactics. Hezbollah announced on Wednesday a series of attacks against Israeli terrorists in Al-Bayda, southern Lebanon, saying its fighters targeted an Israeli military command center with a barrage of rockets. In addition, Hezbollah said it also destroyed 2 Israeli Mikra tanks in Al-Bayda using guided missiles. So they are quite capable of defending themselves as well. But you see, like everything else, though, when they shall say peace and safety, then come the sudden destruction. And that's just it. There is no peace. Just constant war. Got a couple more videos here before I close this out, but going to get some scriptures here. It's June. Ain't no mandate yet, right? That's the hypocrisy of a certain leader. But yet, it's June, and that man has the MOTB. Just pretty much so, hey man, we're going to defend this gospel to the very end, and like everything else, though, it's not too distant a future that they will mandate it very soon. You already see the war never ends. It's a song that never ends, but just keeps going on, but it does have an ending date. Its due date, nobody knows the day nor the hour, but everything leading up to it, and that's where we are, Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, and it reads, the vision is for a future time. It describes the end, and it will be fulfilled. So it's coming. It will be mandated. It will be fulfilled. They will come close to achieving their new world order. And then World War III breaks out, and in the midst of that war, as the missiles, the ICBMs, are fired from the 4 corners of the earth, mostly hitting Babylon, there he will gather his elect, and we will see that sea of glass mingle with fire. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently for it. Surely will take place. It will not be delayed. Look at the proud, the Edomites, especially Donald Trump, the fake Israel, aka these bankers, the wealthy. They trust in themselves and their lives are crooked. But the righteous will live by their faithfulness to Yahweh. Wealth is treacherous and the arrogant are never at rest. That's talking about these banking families, right? They open their mouths as wide as the grave. And Donald Trump is one of those yuppie motherfuckers, the 1%. The people you can't fucking stand. The whole reason why Eat the Rich movement even came out was because of Donald Trump, who was under the Reagan administration, And Donald Trump was one of the worst of the yuppies. And like death, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed many peoples. Yep, and that's the IMF, that's the IDF, that's Israeli state, that's Mossad. But soon their captives will taunt them. Have you seen the taunting videos that come out from Iran? Showing you the truth? Truth bombs? Unlike any other, using Lego cartoons? But soon their captives will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, what sorrows await you thieves? And it definitely shows Esau being the thief. Now you will get what you deserve. You become rich by extortion. But how much longer can this go on? And again, their money ain't going to save them. Because you have plundered many nations, now all the survivors will plunder you. They have never forgotten. They haven't forgotten anything. You committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. And that's mostly talking about Babylon the Great. They haven't forgotten. They just waiting. But they're waiting for Russia to lead that charge because Russia's the only one that can help them. So hopefully this has been edifying. Got a couple more here before I close this out. Then I want to say Barak the Yahweh. Barak Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abal Babal. Brakatam Yehovah Leg. Despite what people say, it's evident we told you the truth from day one. The video speaks for itself. Followed by another video, the fiery trial, which is to try you. Because Matthew, again, Revelation said that trial will come upon all to try them. But that's the last fiery trial. And like everything else, though, we've been given insight to what this MOTB is, and we're not going to be tempted to get it. No, we'll go through hardship. If you're not going through hardship now, you got to question whether the Most High is working with you. Because I can guarantee you I'm going through hardship, but yet the Most High is also showing that He's going to deliver me from the hardship. Shalom, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadosh, Wa Abal Babal. Brakatam, Jehovah Elect, Shalom.
A Neuralink device that's implanted under my skin?
What is that? What advantages do you have?
I can't really say.
Can you predict outcomes?
I can't really say.
Would you be willing to demonstrate?
Yeah. I'm going to show you how to predict the outcome.
He's hitting every number right. I don't know how he does it.
Do you work for them?
Do you think casino owners are worried about this?
They should be. I mean, if somebody figures out how to cheat with this thing.
You said you've done it how many times in a row?
It's the end. I don't know what's going on. I've been in the casino business 25 years. I've never seen anything like this. Maybe I can see the ball.
Miracles.
I don't know. Maybe I can see it before it drops, but I'm not using it.
Are you not using it?
No, I'm not. I'm just going to have fun. That's good. I'm not here to win money.
Do you have any side effects?
No, I don't have any side effects.
Do you have any?
I don't have any.
Can you feel it?
I can't feel it. Is it? I was able to do it, and then I did it.
And how long did that take you?
That took me about a week.
And then you went home
I practiced at home.
And so what do you think the biggest benefit of this is?
The biggest benefit is that it's going to help people with spinal cord injuries and people with Parkinson's disease and people with epilepsy and people with depression, anxiety, and all these different things. I can still move the mouse with my mind.
It's June, and here it is.
It's actually pretty cool.
Woo! There it is.
Chip?
Woo!
Small chip.
There it is.
So I'm curious about the device itself. The actual.
Fuck you, Bishop Nathaniel.
It was a process. It took a few months to really get comfortable with it, but now it's just part of me from my head.
Can you show us?
Can you show me where? Right here. So the future is going to be amazing. We're going to be able to do so much more.
Can we talk about this for a second? So my friend posted this, and what she said really stuck with me. Basically, that this kind of thing does not just happen overnight. It gets introduced very slowly. They wait until people feel comfortable with it, and honestly, that makes so much sense. Because this is always how things start. Optional, convenient, no pressure. And then over time, it just becomes normal. We've seen that pattern play out over and over. So I get what she's saying. At the same time, I am trying to be very intentional about not living in fear because I feel like the world is just bombarded with it right now. So I try to stay rooted in scripture. And I know what people are going to do. They're going to jump in the comments and say that this is the mark of the beast. Scripture is very clear. The mark is not something that people take unknowingly. It is something that you will know about. You are not going to be tricked into taking it. It is a conscious, willing choice that is tied to allegiance. People will know what they are doing. This is why Revelation matters so much. It literally says there is a blessing in reading it and understanding it because we are not meant to be blind. So for me, it's not about panicking over everything, but it's also not blindly accepting everything just because it's convenient. Pay attention, stay rooted, and do not let convenience lead you somewhere that your convictions would not.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone from Will. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother Dawud for the Men of Valor campaign in Greenville, South Carolina, coming back with another video on sincerity and in truth. Lord willing, to be edifying. And I just wanted to do a quick video, exhortation through the Spirit, right, of looking back at the men of old and what they had to endure, what they had to go through, all right, and how they were increased at the end, all right, and us serving the Lord in like manner, all right, we're going to have to go through certain things as well, and it might seem like it's it's very dark that you may be forsaken, all right, but if you're reading the scriptures and understanding the latter end, then you know that this is just that fire. That fiery trial, which is to try you, and one of our best examples of this is Job, man. Going into what Job had to deal with, how he was wealthy, he had increase, and then he lost it all. All right, the Lord allowed Satan to take it all from him, do everything to him, to kill him. Because there was a bet made, between the Most High and Satan, said that if you took your head from him and everything is taken from him, he'll curse you to your face. But Job never did that. He was a prime example of enduring.
as a man of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because it doesn't matter what we go through, we still put our full faith and trust in the Lord. Right? The same Lord that got us into this situation is the same Lord that will deliver us from it. And again, it's not for our destruction, it's for us to be, we're being molded into those precious metals, all right, more precious than fine gold. All right, so this is James chapter 5 and verse 10. Take my brethren the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. This truth, being in this truth isn't all sunshine and rainbows at all, man. That's why the scriptures speak about, that sweetness at the beginning, and then, your belly turns bitter. All right, because it's sweet, we're Israelites, we're God's chosen people, we're kings, we can have more than one woman, but then that bitterness sets in. The world is going to be against you because you're seeking righteousness. Women are going to be against you. Employers are going to be against you. All right, the system itself that has been designed to keep Jake down will be against you. All right, but you got to continue to retain your faith in the Lord. Verse 11. Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful, and of tender mercy. Right? We've seen the patience of Job, man. We've seen the end. We've seen the latter end, how he was increased. All right, Israel's entire story will be, a redemption story. How we go from rags to riches, man. How we go from, being slaves to being sovereigns. That's what the Lord is about to do on a nationwide level for us. All right, but also as individuals. We're in that fiery trial because, hey, that pressure is mounting. The economy is squeezing, things are getting harder, things are getting more expensive, and the Lord is seeing if, we're standing on our faith in Him, rather than our faith in this world and in this system, man. Right? Let's get to this, since I mentioned it. This is 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 12. It says, Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you. So don't count it strange, man. Right? This is, this isn't unique to you. And we have to be reminded of that because, like, when when you're walking in this faith and shit just starts happening, it's like, damn, man, like, why always me? All right, but it's all of us. We just don't speak on it all the time. We bear our cross, man. Yahweh said, if you don't bear your cross, you cannot be His disciple. All right, he bared the ultimate cross. He was marred more than any of us. He had this something. Here it is. He has more power than all of us, and he suffered the most, man. So we really don't have an excuse. But so it says, Beloved, thinking not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. See? As if something just randomly happened to you. Like, oh, you just got bad luck. Nah. Verse 13, but rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of a Mashiach's suffering, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. So we're waiting for the Lord's glory to be revealed. Because when he shines, we shine. Because we also partook in his sufferings. It says, if you be reproached for the name of Mashiach, happy are ye. For the spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you. And their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. Right? Everybody speaks evil about Yahweh Shem Yahushua, but we glorify him. And that's why the Lord is going to honor us. He's going to make sure we eat. He's going to make sure that we're clothed when everybody else is out here starving to death, man. All right, that's the real life reality of what we're facing right now. So, this trial that we're going through, this faith, this truth that we're in, it's not an easy walk. It's going to try you. It's going to mold you. It's not going to keep you the same. If you're staying the same, then something's wrong. All right, the Lord is forging us, man. Brothers are becoming more stoic, more austere, more less tolerable to people's bullshit, more willing to walk away from situations that don't serve us, even with women. It makes you an overall well-rounded man of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, but you go through that fire to get there. It is something we all have to experience. Again, going back to our cross that we have to bear. And then every brother won't bear the same cross. Some brothers will have different issues, all right, but we all have a cross to bear, man. All right, but don't think that some strange thing happened unto you. If you receive that chastening of the Lord, then you're a son and not a bastard of the Lord. We don't want to be bastards. We want to be a son of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because the Lord is coming back to get his sons, man. So that we give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Mukakadash, and the honors of the elders and apostles of the millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the whole elect. Till next time, Shalom.